Okay, so here we are down at Absolute Laser Cutting here with Michael, the director here, and we're just going to ask a few questions around his experience with solar energy with Adapt. So Michael, thanks for taking the time this morning.
No worries at all.
Obviously had a system installed by us just over 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
So just give us a bit of an idea of what sort of business you run here.
Well, we use quite a lot of electricity. We're in laser cutting, so we've got multiple machines and they draw quite a lot of current. So we installed a one back in 2019, and from there we made the system larger, and it's doing really well.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah. So when we first approached you, we obviously were doing a site around the corner. We popped in to say hello. Were you at all skeptical about solar at that point?
I was, yeah. I was. One thing is that Richard, an ex-sales person at the time, he would call in and I'd say, no, look, I'm not in the business of electricity.
Yes.
I'm in the business of laser cutting. So
Absolutely.
It was like, no, I buy it from NGX. And then one day I thought, look, give me a look. And it would take 3 to 4 years at the time to pay back. That was a system which wasn't big enough to do our whole place. It was just like sort of a half.
Yes.
So we put that in and I thought I'd see how it goes. The other thing that was a deterrent was I thought that a hailstorm would come along and smash all the panels. And I was like, then it becomes my problem instead of just buying it from the grid and doing my business as I do it in laser cutting. But when I found out the insurance on just the solar panels to insure was like at the time $200 or $300, $250 or $220 for all the panels, and I had 144 panels at that time. And I thought, well, that can't be too much of a problem.
It's not a big risk. No,
so that was good.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, really interesting to see that, and I think a lot of people have those concerns when looking at solar. Obviously, pretty heavy machinery with laser cutting, very energy-intensive business. Were you sort of unsure whether the sort of panels could cope with that sort of load? Was that one of your?
You sort of knew how much power the whole place would use in an hour. So by then you can just do the calculations on how many panels you would need. I wouldn't think it wasn't going to do what I was expecting.
Okay.
I was skeptical maybe about how soon it would pay itself off.
Yeah.
And it was about right. It was 3 to 4 years. There was a little bit of a rebate back then, but nowadays with the price of electricity and the panels being probably about the same price or maybe even cheaper now, I'm not sure. What are the panels like now?
So the panel prices have come down.
So without the rebate, panel down, electricity up by like 30% for us, it's like it would still be viable right now.
Absolutely.
We would have still done it now.
Yes. No, good to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Price of panels have come down. The rebates are on a sliding scale, but it's with the price of electricity, as you said. The returns are still absolutely fantastic for solar. So we obviously did a feasibility study for you. We presented a few options, one which was a complete solution, one which was more just to cover the base load. And you started with that 40 kilowatt system just to cover the base load initially. Had that system for a couple of years and then sort of decided to increase the system to the 99 kilowatt system to cover the majority of your load essentially. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's what we did. That's what we did. We got some pretty good graphs from the data that Feronius sort of supplied through the app. And we compared the best summer day compared to the best winter day, and sort of saw where we're using our power and where we're losing it. So on the second system, which was like another 160 panels, so we've got 300 plus panels now. Remember that we do use a lot of power, so if you had a smaller operation, you'd probably just make it a bit smaller. But with us, I could see that. So then for the first time, I actually, instead of having the panels flat and getting the best usage out of the roof space, I put some up on an angle and tilted it towards the sun for winter time. So now I've got sort of two more perfect sort of graphs between summer and winter. So we're utilising the sun better. So it was working really well.
Excellent, fantastic, great to hear, Michael. And that's quite a common way to do it. We can kind of start with a system to base load. You can see how it really works, get the confidence in the system to then increase. So you started with a 40 and then you added an additional sort of 60 kilowatts, essentially taking you up to that 100 kilowatts. So the experience with Adapt Energy in terms of the process, the installation?
Yeah, all went fine. No qualms whatsoever. It's never broken down, so we've had it since 2019.
Yeah, 2019.
So it's like, it's coming on towards 6 years. It's never broken down. Sometimes someone's flicked a switch. An employee has flicked a switch and actually turned one of the inverters off for some reason. And Adapt has actually contacted me. I actually get like a message on my phone that something's wrong with one of the inverters, and Adapt is also on my back saying, hey, there's something wrong with your inverters, which is really good because it means that it must come up as an alarm at your end as well.
Yeah, exactly. We get an alert, and it's online monitoring, so it's back to base, so we can just make sure your system is performing as it should be, and if there's any concerns, we can jump straight on it for you. And really good to see you had that experience, and it's a minor thing, but gone unnoticed, that's quite a few dollars that you can potentially miss out on from your system operating. So you want to just make sure that it's up and running and firing. So that's brilliant. In terms of the installation, any disruption to the business at all in that process?
Only minor ones. Obviously, you've got to turn the meter off, like turn the actual the switchboard off. But it wasn't great. They always spoke, okay, we need to shut it off now. Or soon. They gave me notice, and it's like, okay, it might be off for an hour or
that's
that
right.
sort of
yeah,
thing.
it's normally about an hour.
It was nothing compared to the whole scheme of things. That's
brilliant.
For sure.
And it's something that we obviously work around your schedule and make sure it's not going to be a major inconvenience. So yeah, it's normally about an hour shutdown. In terms of the actual sort of workmanship and the finish, obviously we've got metal cable tray protecting all the cables up on the roof and no exposed sort of conduits or anything like that. Were you happy with that?
Yeah, no, it's all good. No, it's all good. It's all finished off, and I've walked along there and I videoed, this way and that way, and had a good look and a close up and how the actual design is, like from the manufacturer who actually makes up all the frames, and just made sure I was all happy with it all. It's well done, especially the ones which are all on the angle,
like
all the framework and everything. It's a good.
Well, you're obviously in the sort of steel cutting business.
We're like engineering. So
engineering,
look quite good.
No, it's brilliant to hear that kind of feedback from someone that's in that sort of industry, and the sort of attention to detail with the workmanship is quite key to the longevity of the system, because it's all very well and good getting a 3-4 year return on investment, but it's really what the system does beyond that is what's giving you the financial benefit.
Well, we're in that situation now. Now it's all paid for, and now even with electricity prices going up, which is an even better bonus, but who knows when that comes down, or if it ever comes down, so it's probably going to go up. So we're in a position now where we're cash flow positive on the whole system, and it's really good. It's quite good, especially seeing the new prices come down. So if we're buying power after hours, we're seeing the real price that we would have been paying during the day. In fact, we still advertise on the bottom of our header after any email. We actually put on our email, since 2021, which was the installation of the second system. Since 2021, we've actually fed more power back to the electricity grid than what we've actually drawn. So we don't say run a Sunday, and with a Sunday being a really nice sunny day, whatever, that gets fed into the grid. That's a positive, and might pay for some of our power that we would use between 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night.
Exactly.
So, but at the end of the day, we've actually still, even right now, fed more power into the grid since 2021, since the second installation of the solar.
Yeah, excellent.
So it's a really good feeling, like regardless of the price, because it wasn't just price that got me into it in the first place. It was like, well, it is the right thing to do, perhaps. Maybe one day I might win somewhere. Who knows where I'm going to be in 3 or 4 years. But man, 3 or 4 years goes like that.
It does.
The next second I'm so positive, and we're still rocketing along, and no doubt we will be, because you're in a business for a long term. It's just a matter of taking that investment. And I really should have done it with Richard. So I could bring Richard up. I know he's moved on, but I really should have listened to him maybe a little bit earlier. I would have been even better off in the situation now. But, sometimes it just takes that. It's a new technology at the time when it goes back that many years. Now everybody's got them. There's a lot more around. You get a lot more feedback of what's actually happening out there.
No, that's brilliant, Michael. And it is now, as you say, a bit more of a trusted source of energy. We're seeing more systems out there. But rest assured, we're still speaking to people that obviously haven't experienced it, or they may have heard a horror story from another experience from, you know, there's some shonky companies out there that may have cut some corners with somebody or overpromised and under-delivered, that type of thing. So that goes on, and we understand that it's you know, it's a big commitment and investment at the end of the day. But great to hear that positive story. It's obviously fantastic for the environment and your back pocket. You're obviously a loyal repeat customer of ours, and he opted to re-engage our services for the second system. So you'd be happy to recommend Adapt Energy services if anyone else was sort of looking into solar?
Sure. Yes. Yeah, no, I do it. If I don't have solar on my house, maybe one day I will. My roof doesn't really face the sun, is probably part of the problem. Yeah, no, I'd use Adapt if Adapt did smaller operations as well. So I've got no problem with it.
Yeah, excellent. Brilliant.
Yeah, okay.
Wonderful. Alrighty, thanks so much for listening, guys, and thanks for your time, Michael. It's been a pleasure, and hopefully we can assist in the future with any of your solar, battery, or electric vehicle charging needs, for that matter.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right, cheers.
No worries.
See you.
Cheers.